Okay. Shalom ubracha, a good gebench tour. We're getting excited because it's mamash before Rosh Hashanah. There's a lot of insights on Rosh Hashanah in this lesson, but it's too early, so I'm not going to give them yet. No, I'm sorry. We'll get them as we get closer to the words Amon Mufla, if we ever get there before Rosh Hashanah. He's coming up those words Amon Mufla. Because Ram is here to Uman, and Mufla is Rabbi Nachman. Ani ish pele, v'nishmati pele gadol. He said about himself in Likutey Moharan, I'm a man of wonder, and my neshama is a bigger wonder. Pele gadol, and Pele is associated with Keter. It's his lesson. So it's a whole inyan of Uman Rosh Hashanah, but B'ezrat Hashem, as we get closer, I'll probably give it the chiddush. Not now, because we don't have time. We're very limited in time. We're like mamish 25 minutes. Let's get into where we're holding and where we left off, and B'ezrat Hashem to continue. What he's gonna, Rav Nosson gives an outline of the idea here. What Rabbeinu is gonna get to us is what's called hamtana in life, waiting. Waiting in life is the greatest gift, okay? There's two ways to live life, Rav Nosson says. There's living life for the moment, which is the world, like the goyim, the goyish cup, is you live life for the moment. You enjoy yourself in this world, but it's empty. And if they don't see it's empty, then they're stupid. And eventually they will see that it's empty. Or there's living life as a preparation, as a hachana for something else. And when you live life like that, only then can you be really besimcha, because you have your life here has a value. In other words, this world is all preparation. That's the whole thing. There's an inyan to live now in the present, but you can only live in the present if you're connected to the future. He says, Rabbeinu coming up, we're going to see that there's a sphere, there's a name of Hashem associated with the sphere of Keter, which we're going to soon, and it's called Ekye. Ekye means, like the Zohar says, Ana Zamin Lemeheve. I am planning to become. I am preparing myself to be. This, by the way, is the whole kavanah of the month of Elul. Elul, they say, what is preparation for Rosh Hashanah? So Elul in itself has no value. Because Elul is a preparation, they say a joke. I need leuman v'ishti lechamati. You just joke before? I go to Uman, my wife goes to my shviger. You never heard that joke? It's good in Hebrew. I need Elul. I need leuman v'ishti lechamati. That's a joke on the side. It's the rest of the joke. The inyan is, Elul in itself, when they say Elul, Zman Elul. What's the idea of Elul? It's a preparation for Rosh Hashanah, for Asay Metshuva, for Yom Kippur. It's a hachana. That's all I did of Elul. So it's amazing because the configuration, the kavanot of Elul is associated with the name Ekye. And Ekye means I am planning to be. Going back to what we said, this is the key for tshuva also, by the way. The key to become who you really are is what's called patience. Hamten. I'm right now nothing. I'm planning to become. I'm planning to become somebody, but right now I'm nothing. So if right now nothing, what value have you? I bring chayut in my life now because of the future. Because there's going to be a future and I'm going to become something, I'm planning to be, this gives me value and simcha in the present. When a Jew lives in the present, thank you Hashem, I'm putting on tefillin, I have tzitz and everything. So what's in his head when he's saying that? It's the schar with the tefillin and the light of the tefillin is going to radiate, is going to shine, and it's shining already, and it's going to be a payback. Sachar, olam haba, right? So this is the attitude of life, is we're living in the present, connected to the future. The goyim, or people don't think about it, they just want to live in the present, but there's no present for them. It has no value in itself. That's the chidush of this world. This world is called the prosdor. What does it mean prosdor? It's a preparation for something else coming up, not now, prosdor, okay? So we live life in the present, but always within mind of the future. That's how you're able to live in the present, b'simcha. You can only live b'simcha in the present if it's connected to something of value, which is the future. So he says, this is the secret of this name, Ekye. It's Hashem's name. But Hashem gives us access to this name, and the sphera associated to this name is called Keter. And we're going to go into that today. So let's start. We've gone through this paragraph so many times. Me and him, we went through it like 4, 5, 6 times. But we have to get every detail here is so thick, is so deep, and there's a lot to talk about each point. But we have to continue B'ezrat Hashem. So he starts off like this, okay? He says in Sif Zayin, this is Torah Kavdalet, Sif Zayin, and not to forget, all this is a result of doing mitzvot already b'simcha. See, there's levels of simcha. There's a prerequisite simcha, which will lead to a greater simcha. The greater simcha is in the Keter, like Rav Nosson says on the pasuk, it talks about Na'aseh v'nishma. The Gemara on Shabbos, Daf Pei Vav, page 84, Pei Dalet, I think 84, 86. When the Jews received the Torah, when the Jews said Na'aseh v'nishma, so they got two crowns, one for Na'aseh and one for Nishma. And because of Chet HaEgel, the crowns were taken away. And the Gemara goes on to say that Atid, Hashem is going to get back the crowns, and it uses this pasuk, V'simchat olam al rosham. It's a pasuk in the future. The simcha of the world will be al rosham. It's like it will be on their head. So that means that there's a big simcha from the Ketarim, which are on the head. Simchat olam al rosham. What's on the head? The Keter. The Gemara is using this pasuk as a proof to the idea of the Ketarim that we lost at Chet HaEgel, from Har Sinai, from Na'aseh v'nishma, when they get them back. And the pasuk they use is Simchat Olam. The pasuk doesn't say the Ketarim. The Gemara uses the pasuk saying Simcha, but referring to the Ketarim to show you that true Simcha comes with this when you reach the Keter, not just in the final future, but every shlav in your life that you tap into this level of the Keter, you reach an additional level of Simcha. So we start off with Simcha. Our goals of simcha. In between, that's the procedure we went through, that the mitzvah then wakes up everybody to come back to Hashem. You activate what's called bracha. And then if you're a Baal Nefesh, if you're someone who's looking for the tachlis, you aim for the bracha of sechel, but then don't forget, you have to put it the sechel emuna. All this we said, okay? We're holding out the next shlav after that. Once you join your sechel of emuna, which we went so much into that already, right? We can't keep on going over it again. When you join sechel of emuna, so you get an additional bracha. So he says like this: "Upnimiyut birchaan," from the inner essence of the blessings. Birchaan is in plural. Shudakuta birchaan, which is the refined part of the blessing, which means like an additional blessing, which is more refined. Nitbarech mehem, it is blessed from them, from the blessings. Okay, because the initial blessing of the sechel, plus that you join the emunah to it, you get now this level, the second level of bracha, comes a blessing from this combination to what's called the mesader and meyashev et hasechel, the structuring and organizing, selling of the mind. We went into this a lot in the last class and 2 weeks ago. Basically, Yishuv Hadat is the necessary stage to reach what's called the Or Ein Sof, to reach the infinite light, which is the highest level of connection to God. And on a practical level, it means getting solutions for the challenges Hashem sends in your life. There's one thing to be a Jew, and it's one thing to learn Torah, but then to taking together and facing the challenges that every Jew goes through in life, that you need something else. It's not enough. It's not that you're doing Gadaf Yomi, I'm a Yid, I'm learning Torah. It should be enough to help me already. We see that people have challenges still, and they're learning Torah, and they're Yidin, and they have Emunah. What's going on? So you need something more. That's called the Keter, the infinite light, the Or Ein Sof, which is behind the Keter. The Keter is like the gateway to this thing called the Ein Sof, Or Ein Sof. It's called light because it's a level of understanding that's meant to shine light in your life. Oh, I'm not waking up in the morning. Oh, I'm having a shalom bite issue. Oh, I'm this. All these things, crazy things, which drive everybody crazy. So you would assume the Torah should be a Samchaim helping me, but it's not. But it is. It's a stepping stone for the Or Ein Sof to help you. You need Torah, the Sechel, in order to perceive the infinite light. But it doesn't happen automatically. You have to build up to it. And he's saying now how this happens. When you join Emunah of your Sechel, you get this bracha. The second bracha, the refined dakut of the bracha. And from this bracha, it blesses what? A faculty in the brain, which takes in all the Torah wisdom you're absorbing. It's called Mesader Meyashev et HaSechel. We went into this analogy many times, remember? We said, like, there's a factory, what's it called? A garage, a warehouse. And the trucks are unloading non-stop, merchandise. And there's one truck after the next. So there's no time for the truck who unloads the merchandise to put it in the right place. So what do you tell the truck driver? Put everything in the middle, we'll organize it because there's no time, because there's another truck waiting to unload also. So the first truck goes, the second truck comes, and he has to unload, and you have no time to tell him where to put it, so it's just mumbled in the middle of the warehouse. Another truck, until the whole warehouse is filled with mishtachim. How do you say mishtachim? With pallets with merchandise, and there's nowhere to put it. So you have to tell them, okay, we're closing the warehouse now, and we're now going to organize the stock, put everything in the right place. That's called Mesader Me'ashevet Esech. When you're learning Zohar, Midrash, Gemara, Shulchan Aruch, Mishnayos, Rishonim, Achronim, whatever you're learning. Okay, Torah and also life itself, all together, you're absorbing. But it doesn't happen automatically that the mind will put everything in the right place. And who says that your mind will put things in the right place if people learn Torah the wrong way, right? Is it zacha nasa samchaim lo zacha samabet? If people learn Torah and they misunderstand. I'll give you the example. I told you guys about some Sephardic rabbi in Yerushalayim. He was invited to speak by a big Litvish yeshiva, and he was speaking about the greatness of learning halacha and halacha. So I don't know if it was the Rosh Yeshiva or one of the Magid Yeshir, the Litvish yeshiva said, the Sephardic rabbi, he says, where do you have a raya that in Kolel you have to learn halacha? And the Sephardic rabbi almost fell off his chair. He said, what are you talking about? The purpose of learning Gemara, all your pipulim and everything, is in order to know halacha lema'aseh. If there's no halacha coming out of your learning, so what are you living for? If your learning is just theoretical, you missed the point, mister. And he said, guys, it's a shibush, it's true. That you can have someone who's so learned in the Torah that they forget the ekronot. You see, when you start Torah, when you start being serious in learning Torah, so in your beginning part of Judaism, in Yitzchak, you pick up Yesodot. You start, the Igeret HaRamban, the Mesilat Yesharim, all the Yesodot and Hashkafa you get, and you get the right picture. But on that, if it has to be solid, because afterwards you build on it, and you have no time to always recheck the basis. You're basing all the 10, 20, 15, 20 years, 25 years coming up of learning that the basis that you started with is strong and proper. Because if now it's not, if it's shaky, so you build Tosfot, Rosh, Raf, Ran, Rif, and Rishonim, Achronim, and all these hashkafas and all these parsha sheets that you get, you have to absorb all of them. You have to make sure that what you're absorbing is correct and how you're taking it in. If the yesod is not strong, a person can afterwards, the whole thing can shift and have a misrepresentation. It's dangerous. That's why a person has to make sure there's a lot of tmimut, in other words, simplicity and honesty and straightforwardness in his Torah study in the beginning. So the yesod is strong. And afterwards, when he builds on it, he built 20, 30, 40 years of hashkafa, but it's built on something strong. I've seen people like this. It's crazy that they're like lamdanim, they finished Shas, poskim, and everything, but their head is in the wrong place. They're not there. The hashkafa there's a big dent and a defect in their hashkafa, and they're yidden and they're from and everything. What in the world? Scary, because the yesod has to be super strong. Okay, so what we said here, he's saying here, Rabbeinu, you need a second bracha for the sechel you're taking in to go in the right place in the merchandise. In other words, to have, where you have a warehouse, so you have now sinks and toilets, and then you have the furniture. So you don't put the toilets with the sinks, you put the sinks with the furniture, everything in the right place. And it's bad, because then you have to work more to get it in your head. In other words, when your mind is working to pick out things, to be zoche, you have like a million items in your head, let's say, from a million pages of Gemara and Midrashim and Shirim and everything. Who says when you're talking to somebody and ideas come up, who says the right ideas are coming up? You have now a million ideas. Someone brings in of Shoshan Agach, and now it triggers in your head 4,000 things, let's say. Now, who says your mind will trigger out the right items of 4,000 to bring out, which are shayach and nogea to do the right thing? You need siyata d'shmaya, all right? He's saying the siyata d'shmaya is dependent on emunah. If your sechel is always with emunah, you'll have a bracha. It's called a bracha. It's called the pnimiyut birchan, dakuta birchan. It's a blessing that the sechel should work properly and it should bring out the right things when needed, when necessary. When you have a conversation, when you're learning something, and then it triggers other things in your head, then it should trigger the right things. For that, I need what's called mesader, me'ashevet hamochin, that the mind should be in the right place. For this, he says you need emunah. And for that emunah, we said you need simcha. So from here you see someone who's not happy. And by the way, the classic example is Doeg Ha'adomi, who in his svara, and he was Rosh Sanhedrin, he brought strong raya that David HaMelech is chayav mita. Okay, what in the world? What in the world? He's a Rosh Sanhedrin. He's not a joke. And it says his learning was upside down because he was constipated. He would hold himself in. He wouldn't go to the bathroom. So, like Rabbi Nachman goes into this, his body produced what's called ashanim sruchim. the waste product in his body that's staying in his body, and he's not going to relieve himself. So it produced types of gases in the body that went up to his brain and ruined it. So he wasn't able to give a clear psak. Okay, it's crazy. And what it says about him. But this why would he do that? If you know halacha is asur to hold yourself in doeg, so go to the bathroom, relieve yourself. No, I'm in the middle of a sugya. What was his inyan doeg? He was so excited about the learning, even though he had to go to the bathroom, he would hold himself in. That's asur. But why would a person do that? Why would a person hold himself in? I'm sorry, going off, but this is amazing the inyanim here. Why would a person hold himself in if he's in the middle of a sugya? Because his ekronot in his head are not in the right place. For example, by doeg, I mean, we're talking about people who are way above us, fine, but we have to learn something from doeg. His intent is, I'm feeling the gishmak, and I'm excited, and I don't have what's called hamtana. Doeg Adomi did not have waiting. Hashem is hinting to you, stop your learning, go relieve yourself. The person saying, no, I want it now. That attitude of wanting it now, that's a pigam in this keter. It's the whole pigam here. That a person doesn't have what's called waiting. Hamtana. Hamtana, we're going to go into this very soon, is the key for everything. The key to get to your diamond, your treasure in life, is you have to do a lot of waiting. A lot of waiting. Rabbi Michal Dorfman, Alav Shalom, he would tell me a lot on the story, Rabbi Nachman's story of the third story of the cripple, Maseh Mechiger. There's Rabbi Nachman's stories, 13 stories. Number 3 is about a cripple, someone who couldn't walk. He could stand, but he couldn't walk. So it's a long story, but there's a part of the story that he was set by robbers. The robbers took everything from him. He was sitting in the wagon. They stole the horses. They stole his money chest. They left him there alone. His driver ran away. His misharet ran away, so he's left alone. The robber said to him, why aren't you running? He said, I can't walk. I'm stuck. So they left him there, and he had toast. What's it called? Sucharis, dried bread. Toast bread. What's it called again? Rusk. They call it rusk in South Africa. They eat it a lot. It's called rusk, I think. It's dried like toast, which stays good for a long time. They used to in Yiddish, it's called sucharis. It would last long. So he finished his bread. When he finished his bread, there was no more food in the agala, in the wagon. So he threw himself onto the ground, and there's nothing to eat, so he's eating grass. So he's eating grass until where he's sitting, on the floor sitting, all the grass finished. So he crawled a little more to eat the new grass until he finished there. And that's how he kept on eating grass until he came across one grass. And by that time, he became very familiar with all the types of grass in the forest. Oh, this is this type of grass. He's eating grass for so long, you can imagine how disgusting it is and how bitter it is. But then finally came across a different type of grass. He said, wow, this tastes good. So he decided to pluck it, and he plucked it from the earth. And under the root of the grass was a cube, a jewel with the shape of a cube. And on each side, it said something else. On one side, it says, if you hold onto this side of the cube will carry you to the place where the sun and the moon meet. So where when he plucked out the cube, he was holding exactly on that spot. So it lifted him up in the air and brought it. This is Rabbi Nachman. This is 200 years ago. It sounds like science fiction, but he wrote about these things, okay? So Rabbi Michal, on this part of the story, would tell me, in order to get to the dumit, to the diamond, the jewel, you have to have a lot of grass first. In other words, you have to go through a lot of bitterness. You have to wait and wait and wait until Hashem opens the doors. That's how it is for life. Hashem is dorish one thing. It says in the Gemara, why did Hashem make Avraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov not necessarily, but Avraham and Yitzchak Akara? Why were they barren? Why? The Gemara, she says, Mipnei Hashem mitaveh l'tfilatan shel tzadikim, shel avot, shel tzadikim. That Hashem wants their davening. So he wants their davening. So in the meantime, Hashem, okay, thank you, Hashem, you're my davening. In the meantime, what am I supposed to do? Wait. And in the meantime, you're plutzing and you're burning and this, but just waiting. Savlanut. Going back to Doeg, his pigam, he didn't have hamtana. And because he didn't have hamtana, he wasn't fit to receive what's called the keter. Because a person has hamtana, so that means his moach is mesudar and meyushav. He has what's called yishuvadat. Person yishuvadat doesn't press the situation. The bus is coming. Oh my God, the bus is coming. Take it easy. Hashem wanted me to get on the bus. Make it easy for me. Now I'm going to run and trip and fall and break my this and then run. And then all of a sudden I pull the muscle and this and that. And I'm schwitzing and I'm just outside of it. I got the bus. Yeah, look how you got the bus. You're upside down. I got the bus. Yeah, I got the bus. And you're like wasted. That's how. But now you're like a behema now. What value does you got the bus if you're a behema? Get the bus in class. Be a man. Be a man. You should be normal. Don't let matter be over mind. Be mind over matter. Take control. Take it easy. Okay, the bus is coming. So what? After run, I love it. When you're on a bus and it's normally the yeshiva bachim, the young guys are running. Right, they're banging on the door for the bus driver to open. He doesn't open. He doesn't open. But they rush. They rush. You lose out when you rush. When you don't have hamtana, you lose out. It's a big gift to be calm and to have yeshiva da'at. It's a big gift. And Rabbeinu says, nitbarech mehem, from them, from the two blessings, from the birkat sechel and the emunah you put in it. Okay, so it's the first bracha is that you chose that it should be sechel. That you chose that I want the blessing of knowing Hashem. I don't want fancy cars and a nice house, everything. I want the real deal. Okay, we didn't even get. It's already time up already. We didn't even get to where we have to get to. We're 5 minutes. 5 minutes, right? 5 minutes. We have to hurry up. Okay. So the Dakut Bircha'an, it's like two blessings. Sorry, the first one is the bracha of the sechel tzev, and then the second one is the emunah you put it together. So pnimiyut of the blessings, plural, should dakuta blessings, the refined part of the blessings. Nidbarach mehem, plural, hamisadar meshav sechel. And then look at this, shehi. Why in the grammar, again, every letter and word in this Torah is exact. This lesson is Lashon Rabbeinu. That means Rabbeinu said you can be medakdek and medayek, word for word, like a pasuk in the Chumash on every word. He says here shehi and not shehem. Nidbarech mehem hamesader ve'hameyashav sechel. Shehi, what in the world happened? Follow the order. Shehem bechinat keter. He said shehi. What's going on? It is singular because they're two, which is really one thing. It's the sechel now. Shehi, the sechel that now has become refined, is keter. Okay, bechinat, and we said this. Remember this few? We went into this a few times. This is a blessing Hashem gave to Yitzchak. Let's look at the words this time. We went into this many times already. What Rabbeinu is trying to say is like this: Eheyeh is the holy name associated with Keter. Ekia imecha, when Keter is with you, I'll give you a bracha in that Keter. There should be a blessing in the Keter. That what's the bracha of the Miyashev that you should have the waiting ability to receive it. Okay, it's also going to destroy that when Ekyeh is with you, then you have the bracha. You have the bracha of the Ekyeh, which is the Miyashev Misad Desecha. So here he says now clearly, Keter uleshon hamtana. At this point, with this one point, we'll finish off now. Keter means hamtana. He's going to bring a proof from Eov. Katuv, Katar lizer. Katar is the same letters as Keter. Elihu says to Eov, who was complaining about his suffering, he said to him, if you don't believe everything I told you until now, that you should not question Hashem's ways, wait for me, Ze'er v'achaveka. And just the rest of the pasuk, I just want to read you the rest of the pasuk, how it reads here. He says like this, Vayosef, this is chapter 36, Eov, Psukim Aleph and Gimel. Vayosef Elihu Vayomar. Elihu went on to add, besides what he said already before, to prove to Eov that the suffering is from Hashem and he shouldn't question it. And he said the following: Katar li ze'er, wait for me a little, v'achavek, and I'll answer you even more proofs. But he says like this: Ki od leloka milim, because I have, with the help of Eloka, od Eloka means with the help of the Lord, I have more words to tell you. But that he says Eloka milim, it means he's going to say, from this point on, I won't bring you intellectual proofs. I'll bring you proofs based on emunah. Because really, to understand the suffering, you can't understand. It's only with emunah. Esa de'i lemerachok. So that's what he says here. Esa de'i, I will raise my da'at lemerachok to far. In other words, I will express items which are far from the mind that you can't comprehend, and only if emunah. There's a grammar mistake. Velifo ali eten tzedek. And to the workings that I receive from Hashem, I will give tzedek, I will give justice and justify them, but through emunah. Okay? So he says here, Katar, wait. The translation, the taich of Katar is wait. And Rabbeinu says Keter is wait because Katar is wait. Okay, he wants to connect Keter with Katar. Waiting, we'll start with this point again. I want to go on. Waiting, the Ramak writes in his book, It's called Or Ne'erav. Says the only way to absorb Kabbalah, the secrets of the Torah, is it doesn't come in one shot. People start learning Kabbalah and they have tons of questions. Even Rav Nosson, Rabbeinu told Rav Nosson to start learning Etz Chaim. And Rav Nosson said, but I don't understand it. So Rabbeinu told Rav Nosson, take a pencil and every part of the book you don't understand, mark it with a pencil. Finish the entire book. Even if you tried to understand, you didn't understand, you marked with a pencil. Oh, great. Start it a second time and you'll see that you'll understand better. So Rav Nosson said afterwards, as I learned Etz Chaim again and again and again, I was erasing more and more pencil marks. And that's how it is of all the Torah, but especially the Kabbalah. The Ramak says that there's a rule that if you don't have Hamtana, you can't enter it. Now also, we say Moshav Zekenim. Why do you, and as not like the old folk song, but as a term in Tehillim, what does it mean? I didn't sit with the Moshav. Zekenim are called their term is called Yishuv, because a Zaken has what's called Yishuv Adat. What makes a Zaken an elder is he's not Paziz. He's not, you see sometimes a Rosh Shiva or a Rav, he's very fast, he's still not there yet. He has to have that, it's the Shmarim settle. What's it called, Shmarim in English? You have a drink with a lot of stuff that have to go down. You have you have a grape juice, which is pure. You have the pieces of the grape shell. They have to sink down to the bottom until it becomes better. He said in English, pulp, whatever. That's where when you're squeezing orange juice, sediments. Thank you. The sediments have to settle. Even with a gaon, there's one Rav Leon, Di Leon. He was a Kabbalist. He says, a person, so long as he doesn't have Yeshiva Dat, he's not allowed to enter the secrets of the Torah. They don't let him. If he's not calm, he's like, ADHD, whatever it's called, what's it called, the super hyperactivity, whatever. If he's so long as he's like that, he's not allowed to enter the world of the depths of the Torah. The Zekenim are called Zekenim because they have Hamtana. We'll continue this next class. I see there's a lot to go on the Hamtana. There's much more to see what the Maggid HaMizrach says, explaining what is the Keter and Hamtana. Unbelievable stuff. Bezat Hashem, we should be to continue next week. Shkoyach Gadol.